codes, make sure they're up to date, and meet the needs of the community. And where they are not up to date, or we see some potential problem, rework that area and bring it up to date.
Mhm.
I think we're making too much out of this. Sure, no matter what you do, somebody could say, but what if? You could what if yourself to death 14 different ways. And that's why we have staff aboard, to make sure those kind of dumb what ifs don't happen. By updating our codes and making sure that they meet the needs of the community. Now, if we need to, one more time, go through the codes to make sure that they meet the needs of the community, great, let's do that. But I don't see a need to beat this to death 14 ways, because I think it's overkill. We're wasting council time, or wasting staff time by doing that kind of thing.
Except there's no hurry. We just said there's no hurry to pass this. We don't seem, at our fingertips, any definition of kennel. 20 acres is enough to raise 5,000 dogs in confinement situation.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Mr. Coop, you've picked a word, kennel, and you've gone over to Trish and said, now, tell me what a kennel is. And at the moment, she can't tell you what a kennel is, maybe she can. But the point is, she's got it available to her to get that information and bring it to you and to me and anybody else in this room that needs that information. And I think that given a few moments of time, she can probably answer most of our questions. And it's just a question of doing that, that's all.
Yeah.
I
Agreed.
can give you the definition of a kennel right now if you so choose.
You know what? We absolutely appreciate it. It's a house with a hole in it that a dog can go in, you know. That's probably as good, I mean, but what we're talking about, and it really is a combination of what Mr. Trost is concerned with, what Mr. Coop is concerned with, and what I'm concerned with. And there's nothing, I think we'll roll with Mr. O'Loughlin's suggestion, and that is that to give it just a little more time. Let's get some definitions. I'm frankly concerned about the term feedlot. And Mr. Coop is categorizing kennels as puppy mills. Well, you know, we obviously wouldn't grant an interim use to somebody who's coming in and saying, we'd like to run a puppy mill.
Except the legislature is unable to define a puppy mill.
That's
Mr.
maybe
Mayor?
true.
What's the difference between a kennel and a puppy mill? The legislature can't define it,
Uh-huh.
and we will?
We could. It could happen. We are smarter than the legislature. Yes.
We currently have a definition for a feedlot, but there's also regulations through county organization as well for feedlots, but
Okay.
And all else fails, call our police chief.
Okay, I'm going to propose that we table this until we can get a little more information regarding kennels, feedlots, specified to feedlots and kennels, and then anything else? Because otherwise, I think the points are acceptable. Am I true? Stables, living quarters, that sort of thing? We're okay with that? Anything, Mr. Trost? Ms. Underfirth?
What would happen if we would turn this down? I mean, what would they do then?
Who is they? Prairie Oaks?
Well, anybody. What happens if we don't pass it?
Well,
Yeah. What happens?
then we'd be back to where we are, which we don't have an ordinance that covers this particular type of operation or operations in A2. It's just kind of a refining of what...
I just wanted you to hear what you had to say.
Right. Yeah, it's not the end of the world one way or the other, but I think it's a helpful ordinance when we're dealing with particular, you know, it is kind of applicable to this one operation, but there are some other things that...
Well, I think it'll work fine. 4 or 5 years ago, we had the kennels. I hate what Mrs. Swedlin. We went through the kennel thing. We had the permits, what to do with the manure. Everything was straight. And that was with 80 dogs, and we had great language. And she chose not to do it, but we came up with language. You know, that was a big. It wasn't called the kennel. It was called Well, boarding and raising dogs.
Okay. Okay. Table,
So moved. Second.
okay, we have a second. No discussion. So we'll wait for your answer on that, 2 weeks. And we can talk, if there's anybody that has any specific stuff that they want to ask and have Ms. Rosenfeld develop, that would be fine. I'd encourage you to get a hold of her. Huh? On what, on the tabling? Yeah, okay. Motion to table, Mayor, Lease. Second, Councilmember Coop, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, excellent. Thank you. Thanks, Don. Okay. So then we're down to 7.1, 7.1.2, authoring summary publication. Okay, so that's tabled as well. Okay, moved on to the presentation of claims.
Second.
Motion by Lang, second by Coop, to accept the presentation of claims. Any questions, discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Repair of Prairie Park fence. Is that you, Mr. Fahey? Yeah.
Mayor, council,
Yep.
as you know, in the past, we've been fixing that fence as much as we can at the softball park. Fix a little bit at a time. Some public works is involved in, some is done by what we used to have a softball association. But there's, the fence has gotten to the point now it cannot be repaired in these two parts. It's going down the first baseline. Those posts and the fence are pretty bad, and the gate needs to be replaced. So I went out and got a couple quotes, and by the prices, I think we should split up between the two that quoted. And we'll fix the gate for $2,300, and I'm sorry, do the fence for $2,300, replace the gate for $1,532.
Okay, council, any questions for Mr. Fahey?
I just have a question. Now, the Century fence, they had said you could subtract $500 if you put the two together. You know, they have good jobs. I suspect that still is higher than doing the split that you talked. I didn't add it together, I just noted that.
Yes.
What's Century's fence bid on the fence?
3264.
Oh, back there. Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Fahey?
Move to authorize staff to go ahead with the fence repair.
Okay, we have a
Second.
motion from Lang, second from Coop, to authorize the repair of the fence at the cost of $2,310 for fencing and $1,532 for the gate, from Pass Fencing and Century Fence respectively. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're going to move down to 8.4, or 8.3, authorization to advertise for bids for the 2009 Seal Coat project. Mr. Fahey? Duncan? Oh, this is Mr. Murphy. This is Joe. Oh, this is Joe. I'm sorry. Mr. Duncan.
Mayor and Council, what you have in front of you was added to the agenda this evening so that we could get this project out and advertised. It is somewhat time-dependent, weather-related, and we don't want to get too far into the